So the occupancy is now at about, I think it was the last I looked was 84% pre-pandemic. Downtown vacancy is 14%. Suburban vacancy is 11.4%.
This episode of the Under the Table podcast is brought to you by Shrubs.me.
They say AI is taking everyone's jobs, and honestly, no one knows whose is safe. But here's the thing. When you own your audience, your content, and your brand, you don't wait for someone else to save you. You build your own future. Shrubs puts everything you create in one beautiful hub. More reach, more fans, more income. Shrubs.me. Your future, your rules. And when you get there, I'll be right there with you, helping you thrive and grow.
Office is actually beginning to recover because it's been beat down for so long. And now the values are actually reasonable.
Is there inventory?
Yeah, there's inventory. And so you can buy an office building in Toronto now at, 8-9 caps. And, your debt, your cost of debt to call it a cap rate is very similar to an unlevered return. And, effectively your spread there can be pretty significant, which, over your debt constant, there's, I would say close to, last one we did was close to 250 basis points. So 2.5% roughly. And so it's pretty good, right? And when you look at multifamily, when you look at industrial and you look at development land, there's a lot of issues there. Everyone's kind of looking and saying, you know what, office is pretty, it's pretty attractive right now because there's really not a lot of markets that are going to be worse than they were, right? And so the occupancy has come back. There's been a number of decisions to bring people back into the office. The Ontario government
is that adding to the demand, or is that just filling up spaces that are already leased that are empty?
Filling up spaces that are already leased, really, but it's occupancy. So the occupancy is now at about, I think it was the last I looked was 84% pre-pandemic. So it's never, we're never going to get to these years, right? The 2019 years. Well, I wouldn't say never, but in the near term. And now you look at the downtown isn't as attractive as the suburban, where it used to be flipped. So suburban vacancy in Toronto is 14%, or rather downtown vacancy is 14%. Suburban vacancy is 11.4%. So, back to a much more balanced market. Pre-pandemic, we were 4.6% downtown. We were in the 6s to 7s, I believe, in the suburban market. I don't remember exactly because we don't really transact suburban office. We do more downtown. And, if you look around the country, everything downtown is much higher than the suburbs. So, arguably Vancouver is the best market because there's very little inventory there. A few large transactions just happened, still significantly lower cap rates than Toronto. But the last large transaction that happened in Toronto was actually a 438 university, which was sold to a user. So it was the Ontario government. But, if we look at a few transactions here, what are the office transactions that are happening is 1.6 million square foot of density to build residential here, and the building's 231 square feet. But if you could buy a building and your land price is $50 a foot at Yonge and Sheppard, and you're buying it at 7.5% cap rate, you're pretty happy. So these are the type of deals getting done. This one was sold to a user, so all the cap rate is low. The user actually can use 100,000 square foot building. Largest transaction this year, which goes to show you very small, 32 million, pretty small. But it's 8 acres. They can really use this building. It's out in Mississauga. This was a distressed deal. This was the lowest price office building that sold for a major, kind of in a major core. This is in, downtown Scarborough.
That was under receivership, right?
Yeah, it was a receivership play. Collier sold that as well. And it was, a fairly large parcel of land, 1.85 acres. So they basically bought it thinking, okay, we've got some income and we can improve this significantly. There's a lot of upside in the rents and the renting out of the building. The buyer specifically really likes Scarborough. They've got a lot of assets there. They're a good client of ours. We've sold buildings for them, and they they're one of the smartest buyers, I think, in Scarborough. So that's kind of what's happening in office. If we want to talk about retail,
Well, hold on a sec. In the office space, go back to that chart because it looks like, people are talking about shortage in homes and shortage in condos coming down the pipe because of stuff not getting built. I'm guessing there's no more applications for offices downtown. And then like just trying to wrap up into this question is like in the run up, was a lot of that office space new offices, or was it like 10 floors in a 80-story tower downtown with like mixed use retail office res?
no, there was a lot of new office built. I show you just right behind me, but I don't know if you can see, it's a bit bright, but that right there is
Yeah.
CIBC Square that's being built behind me. So like there, you see CIBC Square and the second phase of CIBC Square, were brand new AAA office that has been built. The south part of the property is completely leased. The second phase is mostly leased. And you effectively about, I think, 30% less left there. But there's a lot of new office that's been built. Hines is sitting on a lot of mass timber product in Sterling, the Junction, South Junction, and then also on the waterfront. So there are definitely some office buildings sitting, but most of the product that was done in this buildup was a lot of new office coming online. Some of these new AAA buildings and the shadow space from them. And then a few buildings were taken down to be residential development. And then there's TD Square that was, or rather TD teachers and TD put up at university. In the South Core, there was 3 new buildings that were built there as well. Actually 4 if you count where RBC's new head office is. So a lot of new office was brought online, and it was gobbled up quite readily. And Allied REIT almost built a few new buildings too on Front Street. They ended up selling that to a Japanese foreign fund, which included 141 Front, which is the largest data center downtown, and some office development there. So like there's, a lot of this stuff really transacting, and a lot of new space that came online. So, and that was all absorbed up until 2019. It was the pandemic that really changed everything. So still a very strong market comparatively to the US. We don't have a lot to worry about for office in Toronto.